has a story to tell, and when you see something that's real, something you can touch, it becomes more believable in conversation.
I'm gonna hold this for you.
All right?
It's gonna annoy you, but we're friends. Okay, all right.
Yeah, don't hold it, Toma.
This is what big, tall, strapping, well-uniformed Nazi troops used to put our beautiful Jewish old ladies in line. He loved to cut their bodies. He loved to slice them on a tush. And he loved to stick them. This information I got from people who were in the camp when I came into the camp. I just want to kind of authenticate things. One day when I was not in the camp, I was in Munich. We heard that the I forget the name, I think the 106th Infantry had landed some troops and they took over Berchtesgaden. Berchtesgaden was Hitler's home. You saw all the pictures of him and Eva Braun there. When I found out that Berchtesgaden was in Allied hands and I was 3 miles away from it, I had to go and see it. I mean, war or no war, there's good viewing here. So I went down, because I spoke a little German from my Yiddish, and because other prisoners who were in the camp spoke Yiddish with me, I was able to get somebody to drive me. I was 17, but I could speak the languages, so the officers needed me, and I got close to them.
Explain that.
Yeah, I didn't forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been here before.
Anyway, when I heard that we took Berchtesgaden, I wanted to go down and see it. I had no idea what I would see, but I know that this was Hitler's home and now we own it, and I wanted to tell my mother that I was there and as part of the team that captured Berchtesgaden, which it was. Anyway, when I walked in, the officers from the airborne outfit told us, we're going to let you come in and look around, but keep your hands to yourself. They had some other adjectives in there. I came in and the first thing I saw was this. This was the calling card plate. When somebody came to visit Hitler, they had to put their card in this. It was on his table. And I said, Mama, I found your present. When I left, I put my helmet over it. I said goodbye to all the guys who were so nice to us. And I picked up my hat and brought it home where it belongs. When I came home and I told my mother, Mom, I brought this for you from Hitler's table. She said, Hitler? I said, yes. She said, Nemes Reus from Heus. Get it out of the house. She changed. She got scared because she knew what was happening to her sisters and her family in the Ukraine. This has a hallmark on it that identifies it as the property of Berchtesgaden's estates, which is where Hitler lived. Now, very important Kiddush cup. Where is Toba?
Right here.
He's right next to you.
Toba, let me know when it's my time.
Okay. Well, I want you to tell this story.
Yeah. If I don't get anything else told, I want you to hear this. In the camp, we were just milling around like on a crowded subway station where the crowd is moving you. and you really can't get where you want to go. You have to follow the crowd. In the crowd, I saw a nice little old lady. I wanted to tell her I'm an American soldier. When I reached my hands to pat her head, she screamed at me. She was afraid of the uniform. She had spent a few years in the camp, and it shook me up. While I was talking to her, somebody said something about the ovens. So I went to they said the ovens would be at the northeast corner of the camp, or something like that. I'm a Brooklyn boy. I know up the block, around the corner, by the candy store, by the Chinese restaurant. But I didn't know what the hell a northeast corner was. But I followed the crowd, and I got there, and there was a man who was a capo. He was a Jewish man working for the Germans. And his job was to put the bodies into the oven. When we got to him, he was scared. He thought that all the other prisoners who hated what he did for work were going to kill him, because there was plenty of that going on in the camp. There was hand-to-hand stuff. When I came to him and he found that I could understand what he was saying, he said to me, tell them, darf sie sagen, you gotta tell them. Who did I hurt? Wem hab ich geschossen? Keinem. I didn't hurt anybody. I took dead bodies and I put them in the oven, and I'm still alive. And you gotta think of him that way. And then he said, he reached into his gown that was all filthy and tattered, and he reached under his armpit and he took this out on a string. He said, for jeden Shumma, for every soul that I had to put into that oven, I made a regular levaya, that is a Jewish ceremony, a funereal ceremony. I made that levaya for every soul I put in. Don't hurt me for that. And he gave this to me. And I like to show it off. I like it to breathe in free air. I had a cook that was an anti-Semitic son of a bitch. Every guy in the outfit had a few of them. And he used to say to me, oh, Kaplan, A.B., look what I got for you. And he'd drop a pork chop in my plate. And he says, don't worry, it's really a lamb chop. You'll love it. And I would say to him, says, Rusky, we're not far from where another shot won't be heard. Maybe we'll take a walk. 17. And I meant it. I was 17 and I had been shooting. By the way, I was a machine gunner on an armored vehicle. And it was, it was a lousy job. But every time somebody tells you how religious they are, I want you to think about this a little bit. This was on the belt buckle of every German soldier in the Wehrmacht, which is their regular military outfit. This says, God is with us. That's what they wore on the belt buckle. But they didn't stop using this. Am I done?
No.
I'm on a time restriction.
No, you're not. Say more, please.
You can keep going.
I can keep going, but that's up to you.
Yes, go ahead.
Please, yes.
my claim to fame in my own outfit was my Yiddish could be used for German. One of the problems we had is that every night we had to sleep either in our tank, which was a terrible target, or we could sleep on the ground, which, wasn't pleasant. So the guys used to, under military law, this is permissible, they used to knock at a door and say, how many beds do you have? And somebody would say 7 beds, and they'd say 7 American soldiers will sleep here. But nobody understood what they were saying. So the conversation said, what the hell, you know what the hell you're talking about? I said, how many beds you got? And they're looking around, they don't understand. When I got there, I was able to say to them, wie viel Betten haben Sie? 7 Betten. 7 amerikanische Soldaten geschlafen. So it made our life a lot easier. We could find out where we can get fresh food instead of canned stuff. We can find out where we can get eggs. So I became endeared, and new recruits into an army unit are usually not endeared. They treat us terribly. But my being able to get what we needed through the language did 2 things for me. It made friends for me, and it brought me into Dachau because they knew, since my language was the same as the prisoners, they would need people to speak to the prisoners and say to them, don't worry, we're American soldiers, that kind of thing. What did I forget?
That's on you.
War, please, war.
Go ahead.
War.
Just want you to know, I've heard people say, why didn't the Jews fight back? And I don't want to leave here without telling you why. Number one, they did fight back. The Jewish kids who fought in Warsaw fought longer and harder than France did when they were taken over by the Germans. Longer and harder than Belgium did. The Jews put up a fight wherever they were confronted by Nazis. I'm a Jew, I fought, my brother was a Jew, he fought in the Marines. Davy Waters, my next door neighbor, died in Nancio. Plenty of it happened, but the big lie still persists. I just wanted to mention that we did all what we had to do. Thank you very much for being here. That applause belongs to the people who survived. Not to me, I just walked in and out.
So Seymour, I want you to stand over here by the wreath, and we're going to have Faye come up real quick. And then once Faye's done, we're going to have our wreath laying ceremony.
I just remembered something.
Okay, hold on, one more story, hold on.
I walked over to the man that was carrying this knife. He was a magnificent specimen in a magnificent uniform, and I said to him, "Was hast du abgetan? What did you guys do?" And his answer to me was, "Als Juden, they're all Jews." And he smiled. And I, at my young age, had the privilege of saying to him, "They're all Jews?" He said, "Yes." Smiled. I said, "Ich auch, me too," and I showed him the Jewish star that my mother gave me. And his complexion changed. That's how I met that man. That's it.
Thank you, Seymour.